Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of the anime series One Punch Man. And you know that hilarity that was kind of not ever present in the last episode was still penultimately interesting? Well, I was laughing my ass off again all the way through the sucker. Finding out that Saitama has this sort of time frame within which he has to keep active, you know, like he has a week as a Class C hero within the Hero Association, that if he's inactive, he loses his license. That to me is absolutely hilarious. And of course, kind of like we would all do in school and everything, he waits till the last freaking minute, not having known about it, to be sure. But he's in a rush on this final day. I love his little line about, well, I'll leave tomorrow's problems to tomorrow's me, you know. But on that final day, he's scoping out the city, and of course, here comes Sonic. And the funniest damn thing ever. Like in this series thus far. Of course, Sonic wants to take him on. He's throwing those shurikens or whatever the hell they're called at him. And he grabs it. He completely stops it in midair. And he's like, look, I'm busy. I'm walking away, you know. And then this guy, he lunges. Sonic lunges at Saitama, leaping over him with the sword, about to cut his head off. And you just see... Oh my god, that entire sequence, just, I like watched it, you know, like 10 times before continuing the episode of Saitama just turning around and biting this sword to pieces, to shreds. I laughed my ever-loving ass off. I showed it to my sister. I heard her cracking up. She hasn't even been watching the show, and she wants to get into it now because it's just that damn funny. And I thought it was fascinating, like, you know, we're seeing more internally, the Hero Association, and I still have that vibe. Like, there's something malevolent to this organization. There's something not quite honest. You know, it's like, it seems to be run through a, you know, sort of big business profile, you know. All these heads of this particular organization, they're around the table and they're investigating all these different, you know, cities or sides of the city. Everyone, you know, has a sort of letter denoting that particular city as its individual, you know, city, state, whatever you want to call it. And all these different heroes. I mean, we see sort of the two biggies in this episode are Spring Mustachio and Golden Ball. You know, they look ridiculous. They have interesting powers. And that's one of the things I love about this series, how ridiculous some of the heroes are. They completely go against the norm of what you think of like comic book heroes, and yet there are certain tropes to them that are very much in line with it. But I mean, you got this Golden Ball guy, and he basically has like a slingshot, and he has these memory shape, you know, memory form, whatever the hell he called them, golden bullets, and, you know, they run smack dab. I thought this was hilarious too. You know, City Z, all of these other cities protected by all of these other particular heroes associated with the Hero Association, they're all coming back, there's nothing unusual, nothing we can't handle. But then you talk about City Z. This is where Saitama and Genos are living. They're living smack dab in the center of the, air quotes, terrifying ghost town, because of all the havoc that has been wrought there, I guess, since episode 1. Just since episode 1. And all of that havoc that's been wrought at Saitama's one-punch hand, they all think it's like a huge oncoming swell of monsters. Like the biggest, baddest monsters you ever saw. And so you have Mustachio and Golden Ball going in there to investigate, tentatively, and they run smack dab into what is, for all intents and purposes, a very intriguing monster. This monster of the ghost town. I don't think we actually got an official name. It kind of takes that as its name. But it's got these, like, you know, almost seaweed-like tentacles, which are really just fast-flying, highfalutin. It's insane. Wipes the floor with these two heroes. And then Saitama comes walking home from shopping, as usual. He forgot his soup stock. You know, and you don't see what the hell happens. You see the aftermath later when all these other heroes are investigating the area, and subsequently when Genos comes home and you have Saitama making this konbu or whatever it is. I think it's like a kind of seaweed, at least that's what it looked like to me. And he's like preparing the remnants of this creature. He's got a whole box outside the door, and he decides not to tell Genos what happened. And then Genos being completely oblivious, he's like, oh, well, I've heard this is supposed to promote hair growth. Like, always back to the big baldy, you know? But within this hero association, another reason I'm saying that idea of malevolence, we have this character Tornado, who from, you know, artwork associated with the series, as I've Googled it and everything like that and seen on Facebook fan pages, I see as a character that, you know, comes predominant in this story. I don't know as whether a hero, heroine, or villain, whatever the case is going to be. I kind of assumed that Sonic was supposed to be a hero, but it seems like everybody turns anti-hero, almost borderline villain whenever they're up against Saitama, simply because of his power. And, you know, you see sort of how commanding and scary this Tornado chick is. She's getting all up in the face of, like, this one guy in the association, and like, look, I should have gone. You should have, with my powers, with my abilities. Okay, so she makes things glow green and spills coffee in one scene, but I mean, her presence at least is demanding. It's scary as, you know, like, I'm just like, what's going to happen here? It feels like the tide is going to turn. Is Saitama going to become like a supervillain inadvertently because nobody believes in him as a hero? He's got this chick on the street calling back to when he was taking on, you know, Hammerhead and his crew and everything like that, whom we also see in this episode. Turns out Snek has been investigating him, you know, who had his ass handed to him by Saitama as well. But he's got a suit and tie on. He's going looking for jobs, now effectively Hammerhead. But because of the run-ins with Saitama, this little chick is like getting Mr. Tank Top Tiger on top of Saitama because they think he's a bad guy. And I'm just thinking, with all of the havoc being wrought around City Z, anywhere Saitama goes when he's taking out these monsters, these villains, he's leaving so much destruction in his wake. They even reference the giant Titan-looking guy from episode 1, you know, the destruction that is still being repaired since that time. A great, you know, sort of answer to anyone wondering what was going on in the aftermath of a city being wiped out. Well, they're rebuilding and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to, you know, jump back from it. But with all of this destruction at Saitama's one-punch hand, it just seems to me like all of these heroes, if they don't start piecing it together, like who Saitama is, they don't even note him by name. He doesn't even have like a sort of superhero name that they reference him by. They just say, hey, the class, you know, C guy who brought Sonic in. They don't know who he is. So it's like, I'm starting to wonder if part of this story is going to see Saitama be thought to be like the world's most penultimate supervillain rather than a hero like he wants to be. I don't know, that's just my speculation, but I mean, this freaking episode, once again, absolutely freaking hysterically funny, action-packed. Even though we didn't get tons and tons of action, the action we did get, I like that it's not always going to be centered around Saitama, and once you're in on that joke, the one-punch joke, like, sometimes they're going to cut away from it, and you're not going to see it, and everything like that, and you see the aftermath, and that kind of compounds the hilarity in that moment. And we even had like a character who we hear toward the end of the episode, I guess she's Lady Blizzard or whatever, she shows up in a small cameo, and I'm going to be interested to see, you know, what kind of organization this is. Is she a supervillain organization? Is it, you know, part of the Hero Association? Whatever it is, she definitely also looks, much as the Tornado character, looks pretty ominous. So is this going to be another villain in the midst for Saitama? I don't know. And the end-all be-all hilarious ending of Genos being the Prince Cyborg, the princely cyborg. Everyone thinks he's penultimately cute. You know, he's still low on the S rank level with all the other heroes, but he's number 6 in popularity. And because he's cute and because they think he's princely and all this kind of stuff. And you got the faces they animate on Saitama when he's reacting to stuff like this. I just lose it. He's completely, you know, it's like a cluster F for him because that's kind of what he wants. He wants the recognition. He wants to be recognized as a hero. He wouldn't mind, I think, you know, he's not doing it for the purpose of getting acclaim. He's not like, you know, a Yato from Noragami where it's all about, I want people to recognize my name. I want to be famous and rich and all this kind of stuff. But he wants to be a hero. He wants to be recognized for this thing that he does for fun. And it's constantly going to be a Sisyphean uphill battle for him. Genos, he's already got the popularity. Nobody knows who he is, and he's already popular as all hell. And Saitama is going to be forever the bane of that existence. You know, for him is going to be Genos. Put it that way. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you laughed as heartily as I did all the way through this episode, once again, this is like proving to be one of my all-time favorite anime series. Just in how hilarious and over the top it gets. It's never not entertaining. Like the aspects of seeing inside the Hero Association, it's highly interesting. All the stuff about, you know, these other heroes and everything when they're throwing down, whether they're having their asses handed to them, is hilarious and entertaining. The action, you know, the bravado of these characters, and everything encircling Saitama, most specifically, but Saitama and Genos as well. It's just like, so far this series can do no wrong. I'm really, like, getting amped up into the idea of checking into the manga at some point. I know the first, like, 2-3 volumes or whatever it is has been published in the States, and I might want to try to catch up with it because this is just too damn good. It's just like, man, a great freaking time. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, as I say. Otherwise, it'll be pretty much for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.